Passengers headed for Tromso on Monotonic Air, please report to the office. Alright, so you're part of the group that's headed down to Tromso, right? Great. Can I just get your name, please? Okay. And could I see some identification? Okay, perfect. And are they traveling with you? Okay. Great. We have a few passengers on board with you tonight. So it should be a beautiful evening. The setting sun, expecting good weather. Should be a very relaxing and enjoyable flight down to Tromso. Before we go, I just need to ask you a couple questions. They are quite personal, but they are important for the safe operation of the aircraft. So how much do you weigh? Okay. And are those your bags there? Okay. I think that's what we planned for. Nothing especially heavy in there, right? Okay. So yes, I will take those numbers and make some calculations. I need to get the total weight of the aircraft, our cargo weight, and calculate the center of gravity. So I'll figure out where the bags are going to go and calculate the moment arms, the distance of those weights from the center of the aircraft, to make sure we're operating within the safe limitations of the airplane. But everything matches up with what we expected, so that part should go smoothly. Well, for our route down to Tromso, our cruising altitude will be about 26,000 feet. We'll start out towards AT450, and then we head to Nate D, then Lensa, and then over to Lomvi, where we may start getting ATC directions anyway, and finishing up with Osrad and Rebley, and then landing there in Tromso. It's a great flight. It's going to take us out along that northwest coast over the fjords, so should be quite spectacular. Alright, so I'm just going to head out and inspect the airplane. The gentleman should be along shortly to help you with your baggage, and I'll see you out there where we can go over the safety briefing and then zip on down to Tromso. Alright, I'll see you out there. Alright, just to quickly walk through safety features. Have the door here that you entered through. Just rotate that handle to open after you've unlocked it. You'll also have emergency exit here over the wing. Just pull down on the handle once you remove the cover. If we did have a change in cabin pressurization, oxygen masks will come down. that panel above your heads there. Please keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated, and make sure it's securely fastened for takeoff and landing. And this tray table is stored away. All the things you'd expect traveling on any airliner. You will, however, have control over the temperature back here, these climate controls. And I'll be up front in the cockpit. I will ask that below 10,000 feet we are maintaining a sterile cockpit, which means we'll only have communication essential to the operation of the aircraft while we're below 10,000 feet. Should be a nice flight today, so you can kick back and relax and enjoy the incredible scenery you get up here in Norway on our way down to Tromso from Alta. Alright, now let's everyone get situated and I'll get on up into the cockpit and we can get out of here. Well, if you're all situated, we should be ready to go. We've done the inspection to make sure everything is in order. We should be good for the before engine start checklist, and then we'll get the engine fired up. So the crash bar is down. This is to cut all power in the case of an emergency. So we'll get that up, give ourselves battery, turn on our main generator. The avionics up and running here. Let's do a quick test. Some key systems. Check our caution lights there, good. Check landing gear lights. Looks good there.
TOS system test, okay.
And our warning system is working properly, which is good. Let's check our ice light. So let us see any ice buildup along the leading edges of the wings here, which was not expected today for our flight. I do see it illuminating, so that is good. Okay, so that all looks pretty good. We should be good to start our engine. Let's turn on our strobe lights so they can see us. Check that the propeller area is clear. He's on his cart there, we can give him a little wave. Voltage on the battery looks good. Double check our fuel again. Throttle is cut off. Okay. So, let's turn our boost pump on. Set our ignition to auto. And since we've turned on the boost pump, let's look for annunciation here. We do see that. It's expected. Make sure we're getting reactions for our actions. Alright, propeller clear. Gonna run the starter for a couple seconds. And then we're gonna have a look at our engine gauges here. Monitor. Alright, how's our gas generator percentage? It's 13. We can introduce fuel. Alright. monitoring the temperature, make sure we don't have a hot start, make sure we don't have a hung start. The engine fails to spool, but we're looking good. And we can go ahead and move up to light idle here. Alright. Let's just have a look. Engine gauges are looking good. We have oil pressure, oil temperatures in the green. We have a good start on the engine. Alright, engine is started. Checked our gauges here. And now let's go ahead and have our fuel tank selector. Let's make sure that it works to switch between our left and right tanks. And it did switch over. Perfect. And we'll go ahead and set that automatically. So the plane will change between the left and right tanks every few minutes to regulate our fuel balance. And we can now move our fuel boost pump switch to auto. Airplane will supply as needed. Let's go ahead and turn on our autopilot and electric trims. Okay, so let's look at our voltages here. Looks good. And let's switch over to the standby generator. Make sure that we still have good electrical readings. And everything looks solid there. So we'll go with our main generator. Okay, and let's have a look at our enunciations here. Don't have our Staller pitot heaters on yet, that's fine. Parking brake is set. And bleed is currently set to off. We can actually go ahead and flip that to auto. Now control our cabin pressurization to maintain a comfortable cabin feel throughout the flight. So we head on up to 26,000 feet today. And I can go ahead and turn on the climate controls. Temperature feels pretty good right now, but as I said, you can adjust there in the back as necessary. Okay, we are looking good. What we want to do now is make sure that we get our flight plan inputted into our system here. So let's open that up. We're starting here in Alta, E-N-A-T. And our destination is Tromso, E-N-T-C. There we go. And our first waypoint, AT450. From there, we go to Nate D. Then over to Lensa, L-E-N-S-A, saying Norway, so that's a good sign, it's the right waypoint. From Lensa to Lomvi, L-O-M-V-I. Next, Osrand, O-S-R-A-D. And finally, Rebly, R-E-B-L-I. Excellent. And let's just have a peek at that. Our MFD here to show that we are looking at the flight plan we expected. Tracking here along the northwest coast. And everything looks to be in order for our flight plan. So, what we want to see. Okay. So we've got our flight plan inputted. Let's go ahead and check the ATIS to see the current weather conditions here.
Alta Airport information, Whiskey 1900 Zulu. Line 260 at 7. Visibility 7. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,100 feet. Temperature 15. Dew point 13. Altimeter 29.902. Visual runway 29 in use. Landing and departing runway 29. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read backhaul short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have, Whiskey.
Okay. So, using runway 29er, we have information Whiskey, as some might inappropriately refer to as the booze news, but we will use proper terminology and refer to information Whiskey when we talk to controllers. Let's go ahead and get our IFR clearance so we can get on the way.
Alta Tower SMR 112 ready to copy IFR clearance to Tromso. SMR 112 is cleared to Tromso Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 29er climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.55 squawk 6402. SMR 112 cleared to Tromso Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 29er climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure on 118.55 squawk 6402. SMR 112 readback correct. Contact ground on 118.1. Good day.
Alright, we received our clearance. Some initial instructions after taking off. Go ahead and preset the autopilot with our 8,000 foot initial altitude. And confirm we're squawking 6402 so that we can identify us on their radar screen. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself some speed bugs for our rotation speed. I'll go ahead and mark Vx and Vy, best angle of climb and best rate of climb. Initial climb will be at that 124 knots. And that will place those onto my PFD here. Alright. We're going to be taxiing. Let's go ahead and turn on our taxi lights. I'm just going to enter that climb speed here for the autopilot when we're ready to engage. Put this to 124 knots. Okay, taxi lights are on. Check our system here, still just the stall and pitot heat warnings and our parking brake. Flight plan is set. I'll go ahead and turn on the inertial separator. That will help keep any debris we might encounter along the taxiway or runway from being pulled into the engine. Very important. And let's go ahead and check our flight controls. Gonna left stick down, you see the left aileron rise. Right stick down, you see the right aileron rise, as expected. And free movement of the yoke fore and aft. And same with our rudder pedals. Very good. Alright, we are seeing the caution on the inertial separator as expected. Let's just go ahead and test our trims here. Alright, and then we want to just lower the throttle twice here. Keep an eye on our gauges there. We'll do that one more time. Okay, no issues there. Let's clear that caution for the inertial separator. We are ready to taxi, so keep those seatbelts securely fastened. We are all set to begin our trip down to Tromso.
Alta ground SMR 112 with whiskey ready to taxi IFR.
SMR 112 taxi to and hold short of runway 29er using taxiway. Contact tower on 118.1 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 29er using taxiway SMR 112.
Alright, there we are cleared to taxi. We have our taxi assistance today. Make sure we go to the right place as directed. Always a good idea. This will actually be a long taxi down the runway. There isn't a taxiway that runs all the way out. Let's check our clearance here. So we'll have to be cautious. Look for any other airplanes that might be approaching the runway or on it as we make our taxi here. We're cleared. Let's just go ahead and have a peek to make sure we don't spot any airplanes. Does look to be clear. Alright, so we'll taxi down to the end of the runway and turn around. Remind you that we do want to keep a sterile cockpit. Communication will be limited to that, supporting the safe operation of the airplane. can't really see behind us at this point. We'd expect any approaching aircraft right in front of us. We want to have a clear view. And now we'll just turn around to get lined up for our takeoff. Here we have our landing lights on. Some pulse lights for additional visibility. Alright, let's do our last final checks before we're ready to go here. Alright. So, ignition is an auto, fuel pump's an auto. Auto for our tanks, our generator, our lights active, altimeter set, barometric pressure 29902, showing field elevation. Let's set our heading bug to the runway heading. Climb out on that initial heading. We're prepped for climb up to 8,000 feet. Let's get our VTOL and stall heaters on now. Make sure we set our flaps to takeoff. Let's let it look at our engine gauges, our fuel, set our trim. Flaps are indicating takeoff. Bleed pressurization is set to auto. Electrical gauges are in the green. We have our caution inertial separator as expected since we are running that. We are ready with our clearance and configured. We'll be taking off. We'll be flying straight. Initial climb up to 8,000. Let's go ahead and request our takeoff clearance and we'll get out of here.
Alta Tower SMR 1123 ready for departure runway 29er IFR to Tromso.
SMR 1123 altimeter 29er.9er 2 and 260 at 7. Cleared for takeoff runway 29er.
Cleared for takeoff runway 29er SMR 1123.
Okay, we have our clearances. We are ready to depart. Gear down, flaps, ready to go. Apply some throttle on the brakes. Engine coming up. And here we go. There's our rotation speed. Positive rate, gear up. 115 knots, we'll get our flaps up. Pitch for 124 knots.
SMR 1123 contact Bodo Center on 118.55. Good day.
118.55 118.55 for SMR 112 tree. Moto Center SMR 112 tree is passing 1,600 feet, climbing 8,000 feet.
SMR 112 tree Bodo Center altimeter 29.9 to continue as planned.
Okay. Gear is up, flaps are up. The autopilot and yaw damper are engaged. We've commanded and climbed 8,000 at 124 knots with flight level change. That's what we see indicating. It's maintaining heading. And they've actually cleared us as planned, so we can switch over to our nav mode. Let the autopilot steer us on course for our flight plan. We're set to track. Flight plan on navigation. And there we're making our turn. Climbing towards 5,000 feet. Verified gear and flaps are up. Engine torque is within limits. And at this point, we are clear to turn off our inertial separator. No icing concerns at this point. Everything is looking good. Pull that torque back just a little bit without the inertial separator. Keep ourselves around or under 100%. It's a wonderful plane, very powerful. Climbs quickly. Keep an eye on our power settings there. And we're about to level out at 8,000.
SMR 112 tree climb and maintain 16,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 16,000 feet SMR 112 tree.
Alright, they've cleared us up to 16,000 feet. Let's get that inputted into the autopilot here. Again, we've set a climb speed from 124 knots for a final change. We see that indicating just about to pick up our course here. So should have a right turn. And there it is. Take us towards AT 450. Alright, so no alerts. Altimeters are still set, or 29902. We're on the autopilot. Pressurization looks to be within limits. Look at our fuel. Looking good on the amounts. We have a little bit of imbalance between the sides, and that'll flip over as the tank shifts. So keep an eye on that. Well, everything looks to be in the green. Our separator is off, and now they're up above 10,000. We can go ahead and turn our landing lights off. We've completed our climb checklist. Everything looks nominal on our way up to 16,000 feet. And we are right on course, headed for AT 450. We're within 1,000, looking at altitude capture by the autopilot. Please do keep those seatbelts fastened. But we're in altitude where you should feel comfortable relaxing.
SMR 112 climb and maintain flight level 220.
Climb and maintain flight level 220 SMR 112 tree.
At this point, we can go ahead and climb at 170 knots. So getting clearance up to 22,000 feet. Should us correctly entered here. Alright, now we're seeing flight level change, 100 knots for 22,000 feet. Their speed looks good. So I was saying, feel comfortable relaxing. Have great views here in the setting sun. Norway's fjords. Ourselves a little clearer view here of our flight plan. And 1,000 of 22,000. Looking to capture that altitude. The views you get in this job really are something extraordinary. It's hard to beat.
SMR 112 climb and maintain flight level 260.
Climb and maintain flight level 260 SMR 112 tree.
There we've received our clearance to our final cruise altitude. Again, we'll cruise at 170 knots as we make our flight level change. And we see that reflected here in the PFD for the autopilot. The aircraft is pitching for 170 knots. And it'll take just a moment for the cabin pressure to catch up and stabilize at this altitude. You see the correction of that fuel imbalance. We've switched tanks. Everything is in the green. And cabin pressure, which we'll sort out in just a moment. Making our turn for Alta. Alright. And here we are, leveling out at 26,000 feet. Spectacular views out the window today. This evening, I should probably say. It's hard to beat coastal Norway when it comes to scenery. And you can see we're gaining a bit of speed in our cruise. An altitude, navigation, flight plan, flight management system. Keep an eye on those fuel gauges, everything still looks good there. And the same for our electrical system. And the green, appropriate torque level for altitude and these temperature conditions. Gas generator percentage in the green, temperature looks good as well. So please do settle in, set up that table if you need, and enjoy your flight. You can check out these wonderful views, or if you feel inclined to sleep, encourage you to do so. The baggage handlers in Tromso will carry you along with your baggage to the hotel shuttle if you do fall asleep, so it's definitely recommended if you're feeling sleepy back there. Take a peek out ahead of us. This is light bits of cloud on the coast here tonight. Glowing pink in that setting sun. It's really something extraordinary. Alright, we're tracking towards Alta here. probably going to be using runway 36 when we get into Tromso. Initial approach fix for that approach for the ILS will be Bama. And we'll have to stay above 5,000 feet until we reach the final approach fix at Tutu. There is some terrain around Tromso. Wonderful scenery here in Norway. Makes us very conscientious on approach, that we follow procedures to keep ourselves well clear of any hazards. The autopilot is making our expected right turn towards Lomvi. Now that we reach Lemsa,
SMR 1123 descend and maintain 14,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 14,000 feet SMR 1123.
and they've already begun giving us instructions for our descent. Slightly earlier than our flight plan. No worries, we'll work with ATC. They can guide us into our destination. Alright, so I've queued in 14,000 feet per instructions, 200 knots, and we'll pull back the throttle just a little bit more. Get a slightly higher rate of descent here while we're at altitude. Just go ahead and set the table back into its stowed position. Things should be pretty smooth here throughout the approach, but put those seat belts on and keep them snugly fastened. You need to relax though and enjoy this absolutely gorgeous view of coastal Norway. We'll look down. Some incredible views on this sunset flight. Right. Everything's still in the green here. Again, our fuel status still looking good. We're gonna want bugs for our speed here, but we can eliminate our takeoff. We'll just add our approach speed reference here. Alright, so we're continuing our descent down to 14,000 feet, tracking towards Lomvi. Alright. Making our turn now to Osroad. This wonderful view. Could stare at that all day long. Expecting to capture on at 14,000 feet. Indicating. Throttle back up, maintain our speed. Keep an eye on our engine gauges. Keep that torque setting below 100% there. And green. Cabin pressure is looking good. Electrical system still good. Fuel looking good.
SMR 1123 descend and maintain 5,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet SMR 1123.
Alright. And cleared. Descend down to 5,000 feet. Alright, so we've come out about a vertical speed change. At this point, at 1,500 feet per minute. Which we're tracking on the autopilot. We'll shortly be crossing below 10,000 feet. Oh, I'll remind you, again, we use a sterile cockpit at that point. Only communication essential for the safe operation of the aircraft. Go ahead and get those landing lights on as we prepare to descend below 10,000. Everything's in the green, balance between the fuel tanks. Still tracking our flight plan to Osroad, sending us down south to the airport. Enjoy those views while you can. We'll still be descending shortly.
Contact Tromso approach on 123.75. Good day.
And there's the handoff over to approach.
123.75 for SMR 1123. Tromso approach SMR 1123 is passing 11,200 feet, descending 5,000 feet.
SMR 112 Tromso approach altimeter 29.9 to continue to Osrad as planned.
Alright, we'll continue on to Osrad. Pressure hasn't changed, so 29.9 on our altimeters here, which is correctly set on our main altimeter on the PFD, and on our backup instrument here. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit more here so we get closer to our destination. Our flight plan has us vectoring out this way and back in.
SMR 1123, you are 10 miles west. Descend and maintain 5,500 feet. Expect ILS runway 36 approach by Kilo Bravo Victor transition. Clear to Kilo Bravo Victor.
Descend and maintain 5,500 feet. Expect ILS runway 36 approach via Kilo Bravo Victor transition. Cleared to Kilo Bravo Victor SMR 112.
Alright, they've given us clearance for the ILS runway 36 approach, as we thought they might. It's going to take us in via KBV. We are cleared direct to KBV, so let's go ahead and request that in our plan here. Alright, given new inputs to go direct to KBV. See that commanded here for the autopilot, so tracking the flight management system, and descending for 5,500 as directed by ATC. We'll clear that terrain, we'll just visually confirming, so we have visibility to do so. We're at 5,500. Let's go ahead and increase the throttle. So keep ourselves moving along here.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet, keep speed not above 210 knots, SMR 112 tree.
SMR 112 tree, you are 10 miles south of Tromso. Contact Tromso Tower on 118.3 when inbound.
Tower on 118.3, SMR 112 tree.
So stay under 210 knots, down to 5,000. Set up for the approach, and we'll contact the tower when we're inbound on that approach. Just taking us outward, and then we'll loop back around towards Etutu. Our final approach fix for ILS runway 36. Minimum descent altitude is going to be 684. Making our turn here. Go ahead and contact the tower.
Tromso Tower SMR 112 tree 16 miles south inbound ILS runway tree 6 approach.
SMR 112 tree, Tromso Tower. Altimeter 29.9 226 tree at 7. Cleared ILS runway tree 6 approach.
Cleared ILS runway tree 6 approach, SMR 112 tree.
Alright, we're still on 29er for altimeter settings. We're a couple miles from Etutu on approach fix. Let's just check the ATIS to make sure. Latest information.
Tromso Airport information, Golf 2000 Zulu. Wind 263 at 7. Visibility 7. Sky condition, few clouds at 1,000 feet. Temperature 15. Dew point 1 tree. Altimeter 29.902. ILS runway tree 6 in use. Landing and departing runway tree 6. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions.
Let's go ahead and go gear down below 178 knots. And our first notch of flaps. We can get a nice stabilized approach. We're now tracking the localizer and the glide slope. About 9 miles out from the runway. Do have the runway in sight there. Landing lights are on. We have fuel, electrical systems, everything's in the green, engine looks good. We want to go ahead and get slowed down. Get on our approach speed here. We will throw on the inertial separator. Protect ourselves from the debris that we might encounter. Go full flaps. The caution light on the inertial separator, as expected. Turn minimums there.
SMR 112 tree 126 tree at 7. Cleared to land runway tree 6. Cleared to land runway tree 6 SMR 112 tree.
Alright, we are cleared to land. We have our minimum set, showing on our PFD. Autopilot is tracking glide slope. Position on the localizer. A nice stabilized approach here. Set us up for a landing. Confirm, gear handle down, 3 green lights, flap helm all the way down, and indicating. And we can see those lowered. Be ready to switch off our autopilot, 500 feet. Hand fly the remainder of the approach and landing. Seatbelts need to be securely fastened. Our missed approach will be climb on the runway to KBV, and then a turn to the left. Alright, so let's the autopilot and the yaw damper. We are landing. Gear down. we're safely down. We'll turn at this taxiway. Get clear of the runway.
Contact ground on 118 decimal tree.
Switch off our landing lights.
Going to 118 decimal tree SMR 112 tree. Tromso ground SMR 112 tree request taxi to parking.
SMR 112 tree taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Charlie Yankee.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Charlie Yankee SMR 112 tree.
Alright. Clear of the runway. Got our flaps up. Taxi lights on. And we can go ahead and taxi to our parking spot. Welcome to Tromso. This is our parking area up on the left here. There we are. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your flight with Monotonic Air here today. We just get the aircraft shut off here and we can get you out and on your way. Again, welcome to Tromso and thank you for flying with us. Okay. Got our parking brake set here. Turn off these lights. Warning on the parking brake. Alright, so let's go manual on fuel selector. Turn off our autopilot or electric trim. Go ahead and turn off the lead switch on our cabin pressurization. Initiation there. Leave throttle idle here. Roll just a little bit longer. Alright, let's go ahead and shift that to low idle. About 15 seconds there. And then we can go ahead and cut that off. Our inertial separator is off. Reversing indication on the boost pump there, as expected. Let's go ahead. Turn off the boost pump. Can turn off our generator. Turn off the battery. And we'll bring the crash bar down. Make sure everything's shut off. feel free to get unstrapped back there, get the doors open, and let you get on your way. Thank you for flying Monotonic Air, and enjoy your evening. Good night.